Hello and welcome to this special episode of the Fools on a Hill podcast. I'm Cal. I'm joined by Yanni and Liam, as always.
Every
Always.
single
We're
time.
always here.
Every
We're not
single
going to do it
time.
if we're not all there.
No,
So-
that we come as a package deal. And today, this package deal is going to cover Tame Impala's sophomore album, Lonerism, as it reaches its 10th birthday. Run jingle.
It's a classic.
10 years. 10 long, hard, lonesome years. Someone else say something.
Oh, I
Oh,
thought you were
really?
going to carry on. I don't know. I thought you had something in mind there.
Straight
No,
Yeah,
that
it
was.
was
Could you not
stuff,
tell I was?
yeah.
Could you not tell I was riffing? Did that sound
Oh,
pre-planned?
No, it's so natural with you. Lonerism is the album we're covering by the, feels weird saying band, Tame Impala. This was written and produced, performed, recorded by every single thing that you can think of, by Kevin Parker.
Even took the
with-
picture on the artwork.
We'll get to that in a minute. So stop interrupting. With live
Calm down,
member Jay Watson also contributing on 2 tracks. Please don't ask me what 2 because I don't know. It was recorded mostly in Perth. That's in Australia. That was a bad accent.
Right.
Cut that. And Paris, which of course is in France. It always has been. It always will be. Lonerism is psychedelic, baby. With a lot more synthesizers on show as opposed to the debut album In a Speaker. I was almost going to give an answer to a question we've not even reached yet, so I won't say that. There's a lot more poppier elements throughout this. I would say overall, after reading Wikipedia, it seems like Mr. Parker attempted to incorporate his love for pop music into this, which you can really tell. The image which decorates the album, the album's cover, is of course an image of a fenced-off Jardin de Luxembourg in Paris. Liam, do you want to give a better pronunciation of that?
It'll be Jordan.
Jardin.
Jordan.
Well, I did not spell it right.
Le Luxembourg.
And it's highly acclaimed. In case you want to know the facts and figures, it reached number 4 in Australia, number 14 in the UK, and unfortunately number 34 in the US. It sold over 210,000 copies in the United States. I don't know when that is by, and is certified platinum in Australia and silver in the UK. Couple of weird things here, just to mention. Apocalypse Dreams was the first single to be released, which just seems a bit mad.
Yeah.
Then Elephant, then Feels Like We Only Hope Backwards, and ending it off with My Mischief. That's about it. We're going to go through track by track, tell you our thoughts and our feelings, and we've got some lovely little questions at the end, which are going to be asked by the beautiful boy,
Lovingly.
Ian Godfrey.
Yeah.
Lovingly asked. So, starting off with the opener, best place to start really is Be Above It. What a great way to open this. The first time the bass comes in with that synth, my only word I've used here is oof.
Oof, indeed. I love the gradual introduction of the "Gotta Be Above It" whispers that are prominent throughout. It's just a great way to get it into the album. Just the job of an opener, you'd say. Does it well.
Yeah, it's really good. The build up is iconic, I think, and the way that the guitar line comes in over that, and it feels very just kind of like on top of it, repressing the rest of the song in a very really cool way. I really like that, and this straight away the drum sound in this, and for the rest of the album, the drum it's one of my favorite drum sounds ever. It just sounds wonderful, and I think this is a wonderful start to this album.
Yeah, I've watched many a video on people trying to replicate the drum sound of this album, because it is, like you say, it is wonderful. Moving on to Endor's Trois or what, Liam?
Under Trois.
Yep. And it is another great track. They're all great, to be honest. I like this album a lot. That's why we're covering it. It's a classic, not just my decision, of course. We all like it. But the amazing opening has an amazing opening to this track. As do a lot of the songs. But I love the phasey guitars. And the chord progression seems, well, at the time of this being released, different for Tame Impala. Yeah.
Yeah, that riff at the start, to use Liam's word, is iconic for me at least. Despite it being an album track, it's just, I don't know, instantly takes me to some sort of higher place that people take drugs for. I don't take drugs. I listen to Lonerism by Tame Impala.
Sure.
Get that on a t-shirt.
That'd be a
First
great
bit of merch.
t-shirt. That'd be really good. I'd buy that t-shirt. I'm gonna say that right now. If anyone makes,
Maybe
that
we should
t-shirt.
make it.
I don't take drugs. I listen to Lonerism. Yeah,
We'll
that's
make
good.
it. I'm gonna pattern that.
Go on, pattern it, mate. Pattern it.
You get a pat on the back for that, mate.
Thank you.
This one again, yeah, drum sounds all over this one. Incredible, and just incredible playing. Just sounds great. The kind of the slow down in the middle of the song when the vocals come in, to then picking back up is great. And the bass felt's really good, and then at the end when really distorted bass, and I think it's either not actually bass, it's actually guitar, because then there's a part that very much sounds like guitar, or it is all bass, or it's a mix of both, and I don't really know. But either way, that really heavily distorted, dirty sound towards the end. Ooh. Yeah. Tickles me.
Naughty. Oh. Yeah. Moving on to the third track off the album, Apocalypse Dreams. Without giving too much away, yeah.
Yeah, baby.
And I'm going to give it away. This song is, and I've used this words on purpose, is perfection for me.
Wow.
I've loved this from the first time I've heard it. The bass line in this is amazing. I don't know, maybe it's not weird to say or out the ordinary to say, but his bass lines in general, I think, are severely underlooked by people. As is, I didn't even touch on it, the drum playing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just unique. And yeah, fantastic. This song, I love this song. Beautiful.
Yeah, I love the song as well. I didn't know it was a single, which
It's weird, isn't it?
yeah, it does surprise me, especially the first single. It's just an absolutely ridiculous track. The ending is just unreal. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had seeing this live. It's just completely consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you bob on there, Carl. You are bob on there. Yeah, to me, this song, it's one that I just can't imagine being able to write this song. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it?
It's just crazy. It's so good. And just the different sections of the song when it kind of comes in and goes and slows back down again. That kind of like, that pacing and changes are really cool. And there's a lot of just very good little bits in the background and stuff that have just been kind of thrown in here and there. And like the key sounds and stuff, just it's all groovy, baby.
Well, from what I read before, I believe it was recorded over the span of 2 years.
Bloody hell.
And unless that's completely wrong, in which case, apologies for the misinformation. But I feel like you can really tell that there's been a lot of time spent on this. I mean, he's quoted here saying like that he was mostly just spent days drinking red wine and smoking spliffs and staying up dead late.
Great time.
So that's where the weird aspects of the album come from, which there's no argument for that. I can fully see why that would be the case.
Paid off. Isn't it? Paid off.
But you can, like you say, you can see the attention to detail, especially in a track like this, which has got so much going on. Moving on to Mind Mischief. What a riff.
Unreal.
Baby.
So iconic. And just when we do these classic ones, I do tend to think more about the songs a lot more than I normally would if I was just casually listening to them. But there's so many parts to this that just complement every instrument so well. Everything has room to breathe. And this is one of the songs that I've, upon re-listening, I thought it's so good. So good the way everything's well thought out.
Yeah, completely agree. The riff, as you say, is absolutely iconic. Without being dramatic, I think this is one of the best songs of the 2010s. Just instantly transports me back to being 12, or well, not 12 because it wasn't released, 14, 15. It's just iconic. It genuinely is iconic. And despite all the obvious effects on the vocals, I think this is one of Kevin's better vocal performances in the early days. Which obviously is a bit of a sticky point in terms of Kev's abilities, but honestly, you're listening to the wrong band if that's what you're looking for from Tame Impala.
I had the same thought about this song in terms of vocals. It's probably my favourite vocal performance of it. I just like the way the vocals sound in the song, and I mean, yeah, the same as everyone else has said. I suppose the riff is just incredible, and the way the bass plays a similar riff but not quite, and it's almost like a call and response is like just insanely smart. It's so good. The way they play off each other is incredible, and that dirty tone again at the end, that guitar tone. Whew, baby.
Some fuzzy, naughty guitars. I love the bit before the bridge part where it's the really high bit, with the singing and the synth is going like doon doon doon.
Yeah.
There's like that rhythm going on, and it's just like, and then you fall right into it.
Yeah.
And the music video as well. I distinctly remember this music video.
Yeah,
It's one of those ones I immediately think of it. Moving on to Music to Walk Home By. A lot of interesting changes throughout this to keep it interesting, and the ending to this is just immense. The guitar tone, I think, comes back again in this. I think it's a credit that it's sometimes difficult to understand what is being played. But it doesn't really matter because it fits whatever it is, and it just, if it is a guitar, then the fact he's made that noise with a guitar is fantastic.
Yeah, completely agree. He is a genius, to be
He's a
quite
wizard.
frank. This song itself, though, is kind of a newer one for me. It just kind of passed me by when I was a bit younger. Don't really know how, but it is an absolute banger, and I don't really know what more to say about this specific track.
Yeah, I think that it's always it's never really stood out to me. I think because everything before and everything after it is a lot more kind of is better in a simple term, but not at all disparaging this song. But yeah, I don't think I have much more to add, except it somehow sounds like it's jammed as opposed to, which is impossible because it's done by one person. But it doesn't sound like a kind of manufactured song. It sounds like a band that's just kind of like riffing together, and this is what they made. So pretty cool, not 10.
I think when you remember that fact and listen to every single song off this, that's even more of a credit to his ability to be able to produce, write, and do all this shit and make it sound like it's not just him individually playing each one on top of one another. It just, like you say, it just sounds so sort of free flowing most of the time. Yeah, incredible. Moving on to Why Won't They Talk to Me? I don't know, Kev, to be honest. I think they should talk to you.
I would talk
Fools.
You're a very interesting man, I think. I love this one. The intro is great. The little synth sounds like a cheap synth that's playing a little bit, and then the bubbly little play in the background. is nice. And then the bit where I think it's maybe about halfway through or nearer the end, where everything drops out and comes in with just pure Kev vocals and acoustic guitar, like wall of sound, Kev vocals. It's just beautiful. And I remember watching he did not so long ago a video of him
Yeah,
like playing it in like
and it was during lockdown, wasn't it?
yeah,
Oh, that
and
yes, that was amazing.
I just remember thinking that like made me appreciate the song even more. To be honest, just watching that.
Gonna have to rewatch
Yeah,
that. Now you've said that.
I'm gonna
Mm.
do that right after recording. Yeah, I completely agree with what you said there about that reaffirming my love for the song, that video. Not to spoil anything, but this is one of two that just remind me of being it just take me instantly back. I
Yeah.
remember wearing my parka with my hands up here in my pockets, with my little man bag. It just reminds me of just walking home, like the route I took. It's just, I don't know. Everything is incredible. The drums when they come back in towards the end, just defies words.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add apart from, yeah, the beginning where he's just singing to the build up to when the drums come in, and that drum beat is like one of the greatest things in music I think ever. And I think across many songs that do that sort of thing, it's just a very smart choice most of the time. But here it just gets me in the goolies, you know. And again, the kind
I
of
know.
ebb and flow through the song is just like perfect. Everything's in its right place. It feels, I don't know, it's just done a bloody good job. I mean, why would no one talk to him? Because I think he's either a very interesting guy or completely dead behind the eyes, and I don't mind either. Either can be true. He can be like just a happy Labrador. I mean, he's either that or he's the most intelligent person on the planet. It's fine.
It's fine either way. Next up, we have Feels Like We Only Go Backwards. A lot's been said about this by other people, so I have not really got much to say. Great intro. The bass line is a chef's kiss. One sort of thing that stood out to me this time listening to it is the panning on instruments. And it never fully clicked for me that the bass is like off to the left a bit instead of being like dead down the center. And I think it was this song. I remember hearing him do an interview with probably Zane Lowe or something, where he was saying like the mix for this, they almost handed it in, and there would have been like no bass because of the way that, to get technical, like phase affected sound. Like it cut one of the instruments out basically, and that was almost turned in. It was like the final product until they listened to it through like an iPod or something stupid, and then they realised that something's not playing right. So yeah, that's a little fun fact, I suppose. But what have you got to say about this song, guys?
Again, nothing that I can really add that's of any note. It's an absolutely top tier tune, but I feel like it's suffered the less I know, the better treatment of being overplayed to the point of insanity. So normally I do skip it, but obviously for listening to this, I played it and it's so good. Like, there's a reason why it's been overplayed to death. Yeah, it is just a great song.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I definitely feel a bit of burnout on this song, which is weird because I think when I used to listen to this album, it never really stood out to me massively, and then obviously the fame from Arctic Monkeys covering it was just Alex Turner or whatever it was.
Yeah, just Al.
And
Elegant.
this is the most played on Spotify, which I thought was interesting from this album, considering a song that's coming up, which I definitely would have thought would have been higher played. But yeah, no, it is still a very, very solid song. I just don't think it quite does it for me in terms of style as some of the others. But it's still very solid, and it's a great place on the album as well.
Yeah, definitely a great place. Moving on to Keep On Lying. This is a weird one that I tend to fluctuate on my opinions of, to be honest with you. I do like more or less every sort of instrumental choice and everything, and I like the fade in. However, I do feel like it drags towards the end. I mean, there is obviously different instrumentation that comes in. There's like different keys and guitar parts that come in, but if I'm not in the right mood, it'll get to like halfway through and I'll skip it
Mm.
because I do enjoy the first half. But yeah, so it depends. Either one day I like it, one day I won't. It's one of those, but I don't think it's bad
Yeah.
by any means.
In my head, this was always an interlude, but it's fucking 6 minutes long,
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
which is just bonkers.
I felt the same way.
I understand what you mean about skipping it sometimes because the ending is just a bit bonkers. I really like the weird voices and the laughter that just gradually gets louder. It's just a bit creepy. Don't know if it's intentionally creepy, but it creeps me out a little bit. But sometimes that is a bit overwhelming. I agree. But when I'm in the right mood, I love this track to bits.
It's not one that I've ever really thought about. If I'm being honest, yeah, it just kind of happens at this point in the album, and then obviously we know what comes next, so it's kind of quickly forgotten. But yeah, I do also enjoy the kind of musical elements in the song. I enjoy the vocals, the weird kind of talking and the laughing. There's also that very clean, just completely undistorted guitar that just plays that weird riff with notes that sound wrong. That I think is kind of cool. But yeah, as I say, it's never really been one that if you were to say the name of this song, it would mean nothing to me. That's how kind of much I've not paid attention to it. But if you played it, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's on Lonerism. So, but yeah. One of them.
And moving on, Liam's alluded to it several times. It's Elephant. Everyone knows it. My notes were, I mean, you already know. There's not really much more to add to it, other than my own personal experience. Well, our personal experiences with the song, because we've all seen it perform live. I like the breakdown they do, where they make it a little bit more like a video game sound.
Yeah.
To change it up a bit, I enjoy that. I feel like it's a bold one to have as a single as well, because the solo goes on for so long.
Yeah.
That's very unusual for like something to be in the charts for something like that. For all those moments where is it called like a zeitgeist or something? I don't know, cultural zeitgeist.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know what I'm saying.
Zeitgeist is a word, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a
Let's
word.
see if
yeah.
you use it right.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah. Although it obviously sounds like it should be a single, it is weird that it did also catch on as well as it did, I think. But it's great. It's funny that it was like a joke song, and he's mentioned that a couple of times. Like he basically was forced by other people to sort of finish it off because they said it was good. And he wrote it as like a joke and then did it in full. And the mirrors on his Cadillac, because he doesn't like it looking like he looks back.
Yeah.
Fantastic lyrics. One of I think the best lyrics on the album, to be honest.
Yeah.
They are fantabby-dozy. Boys, what do you want to say?
Yeah, couldn't agree more about that lyric there. It's just a rip snorter. It just is. It just is. That's it.
Yeah, it's just hard, isn't it? It just goes hard. It doesn't really fit on the album, but it does actually. Where it's placed is very smart because it's kind of like here's something new at the last minute, and it definitely works. But it's definitely an outlier on the album. And for a joke song, it's incredible. That guitar tone with that main dum dum dum, that guitar playing is just beautiful.
It's also, sorry to interrupt you, but the drums on this are also deceptively more complicated than you think they are, because it comes in on the snare hit every time after the sort of doo doo that comes back in, instead of being like the bass and snare. It comes in on like the second beat, which is always really weird. But you never seem like you're losing it. It always feels like it's moving along like it should be.
Yeah, I'm just noticing that as I'm listening to it. You're right. That's interesting, and it is a weird one to play. Just playing bass, where you're just kind of playing the main rhythm. Just that dun dun back into it is a strange one. I think the word you were looking for before, by the way, was phenomena.
That's yeah,
a cultural phenomena where it doesn't kind of make sense, but
Thank you,
Just
Mr.
before we
Dictionary.
move on as well, absolutely iconic remix of this and Black Skinhead back in the day.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Top
about
notch.
Yep.
that. As we move on, I just want to ask the question: do you have Led Zeppelin next?
No, it didn't do the deluxe.
Right, because
Oh.
well, this isn't the deluxe version. And this is
What?
something that I have made a comment about that might be interesting. So, originally, the album did not come with the track Led Zeppelin on. It was an iTunes exclusive or exclusive to a 7-inch, which you got as part of a deluxe version of the album.
Mm-hmm.
However, it has since been included onto the album track list on Apple Music, apparently, or the Apple realm. It's placed next, number 10.
I've never heard that song.
Neither have I.
Well,
I've never heard of it.
I don't agree with its inclusion.
And, in the middle
I'm
of
just
the
gonna
album's a
comment
bit
on-
strange as well.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't agree that it should be included. It sounds too demo-y, and it definitely stands out. I don't know if that's more to do with the fact that it wasn't originally there, so my sort of education of the album did not include that originally. But yeah, I definitely it really ruins the momentum from Elephant down to this, even though the next one's only like a interlude that is very slow. But yeah, Led Zeppelin, don't know why it's on here. Weird, but I thought I'd mention all those facts because I actually did some research on it.
Almanac.
Who'd have thought, eh? Who'd have thought? Well, in that case, next up we have She Just Won't Believe Me, which seconds long, 57 that was. I use 7 and seconds as one word, apparently. I like the intro of this being like a kind of misdirect. It starts off sounding not like, well, sort of happy-ish, the chords. And then when it comes in with the She Just Won't Believe Me, it suddenly flips and it comes very dark. And sort of, I don't know, I want to say gothic, but not quite that, with all these vocals that are doing the synthy sounds. I think it's fine being the length it is. It doesn't intrude too much. But yeah. Comment
I think
made by Yanni.
I think as far as interludes go, it's as good as you can get, really. Do find it a bit pointless, but it's fine that it's there. It's got some nice sounds, but bit of nothing.
I actually just think I just really don't need it at all. And like I think it starts off alright, but the way it just kind of ends abruptly makes me just feel like I don't know, doesn't sit right. Doesn't sit right for me, to be honest with you. Sorry to tell you. That's alright.
It's alright. I'll forgive you. Moving on. Nothing that has happened so far has been anything we could control. Breathe. Great sound throughout this. The mix on this is brilliant. Little gripe with it that I've realised upon listening to it critically. I don't know if it coming back in at the end with the singing is entirely necessary. It's long enough as it is. Then it comes back with the first verse as the outro part of it, and it could just fade out or stop. Yeah, so the ending's a bit unnecessary. But I enjoy before that.
I like how it comes back in. I do agree that it probably doesn't need to, but I really, really like this song, so I'm always happy for it to have a bit more of it. I think the vocal effects in this one are a standout for me on the record. Probably close to my Mischief for me in terms of the vocals. And I like the melody of the intro. It feels quite old school. I don't really know why. Maybe it's a certain effect or something, but I think it feels the most inspired by old stuff, which sounds mad because it also is very 2012. I don't really know what I'm getting at, but yeah. But it just feels the most like inspired by something else. I don't really know.
Sure, Carl. Thanks. Thanks for that riveting insight. I think that in the past, when I've listened to this album, I've either not made it this far or just checked out at this point, because this and the next song have no recollection of whatsoever. But listening to with fresh ears, they still don't really do anything for me. So spoilers for the next one as well. But even more so for the next one. But for this one as well, it's fine, and a lot goes on it, but it just doesn't hook me in the same way any of the other songs on the album do. And I think really it's a bit after Elephant, it's all a bit downhill, and it's kind of a weak finish, unfortunately for me.
Okay. Sun's Coming Up is the last track. Quite a few things to say on this. I love the Lennon-esque singing that goes on. Made more Lennon-esque by the echo effect on his vocals.
Sorry, the what?
Sorry? And it's different vocally because he's he's very low at some points in the singing. The hook, which is basically all that there is of singing, the singing hook, is one of my favorite hooks of any song. It always gets stuck in my head. Don't know why. It's a weird one, I know, but it just always comes back to me for some reason. And I don't mind the guitar solo at the end. My only real issue with it is that it just ends abruptly. So that annoyed me. If it faded out, I kind of would have been okay with it, but it just cuts off so quick. Well, not quickly, but cuts off very abruptly, like I said. So I'm just repeating myself at this point. Carl, what do you think?
I always used to skip this one back in the day, so I don't really have that affinity to it, and I just still don't really care for it. I think it works well as a closer to an album, but I'm not necessarily sure that this is that album. It just feels very out of place to me. I don't know. There's elements I like, but it doesn't
It does feel out of place.
doesn't interest me enough to want to force myself to like it.
Well, I kind of alluded to my thoughts on this as well before, and yeah, I don't have any kind of affinity for it, and I think it's the whole last chunk of this album is a waste, in my opinion.
Are we going to say that maybe Apocalypse Dreams would have been a better ender?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Possibly. I'm listening now to think if Elephant could have just ended it. And I think it probably could have, to be honest. But in terms of like an actual song as an end,
30-minute album would have been Cal's favourite.
Yeah, love that. But yeah, Apocalypse Dreams probably is the right choice there. You're right. Yeah, that should have been.
I mean, they do use that most of the time to, end it before the encore, don't they? Yeah, so maybe that's why I think of it as an ender. But anyway, that's been our little chat on the individual tracks and what we think of them. So, some mixed thoughts, some great conversations to be had there.
Not by us, though.
Yes?
No, of course not. I don't want to speak to you anymore. I just want to answer questions.
Well, I've got some.
Thank you.
I've got some questions for you. And this might be a different order because I moved them around a little bit. I don't know how they're usually told.
Oh, you would do, wouldn't you?
But I just feel like the question that was first shouldn't have been the question. Anyway, I want to ask you the first question, which I've decided is the first question, which is, what is your first experience with this record?
Well, to answer your question, I have to not answer your question.
Thank you.
My uncle Andrew, good old Uncle Knobhead,
Andrew.
Gave me in a speaker when I was, I don't know.
What did he give you in a speaker?
About 13.
Shit. Well,
and
wasn't out then. Oh, sorry, in a speaker. Sorry.
Yeah.
Take it back.
Fuck off.
Sorry. Listen,
you cow.
You listen to him?
I will smack you in the teeth.
For some reason, I thought this album.
He gave me that when that was out. He really loved it. he gave it to me. I really loved it. And then I just remember Elephant. I remember watching the YouTube video to Elephant, which is kind of where I get the idea that that was the first single. And I just kind of disregarded Apocalypse Dreams as a single. So that's how I remember it. Just Elephant being released.
You've answered the question there by answering the question. To
Yeah,
be
but I had
fair.
to deviate from the album.
I mean, it's all still an answer to the question, Callum.
Well, yeah, full circle, innit? Wagon wheels.
Like a wagon wheel. Liam, what's your first experience? Or do you want me to answer and then you do it?
I don't know my exact first experience. I again would assume. I'm pretty sure the first song I heard was Elephant. And yeah, I really don't know. It's one of the first albums I bought on vinyl. I remember just lying in my bed and listening to it over and over again.
Apart from
and
the
just
last two
kind of-
tracks.
Apart from the last one, yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from side B.
Maybe I went and got a drink when that part happened. Yeah, maybe I think I just probably checked out at that point, but still the sounds and what was going on was very interesting to me at that point. And it was very different at the time as well. You think of all the recent classics we've done of albums that came out this time of the world, Come of Age and stuff like that we've covered recently. This kind of this came out after Come of Age.
That's how time
insane to
works,
think
yeah.
about. That doesn't seem right to me. That's crazy.
Yeah, the timing of this one feels weird to me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it feels
interrupt you 'cause
older.
I'm
Definitely
sick of you
feels
talking.
older.
Yeah, I'm
actually thought it
surprised
might
it's only
have
10 years.
I thought, I was thinking earlier, what is this? Is it the 10-15? I thought probably 15, and I thought no, definitely not 2007. That's not right. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I don't remember the first time, but I definitely remember kind of. I remember when it was a bigger part of my life for sure, and that was when I had the old record player that I got. And yeah, it was one of the only records I had, and that was good times.
I also do struggle to remember my first experience with this, but I feel like my first experience with Tame Impala was because of this particular album. I can't remember exactly what song, but I feel like we may have touched on covering Feels Like We Only Go Backwards at some point when we had that band. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I don't know. It might have been through listening to the radio and just hearing like new music, and then like one of the songs was played then, and that's how I sort of came into it. But it is one of those albums that got me at the right time to sort of broaden my horizons into the musical landscape.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new sounds going on with it. So very different to anything that I would have been listening to prior to it. Liam, what is your next question?
Next question, sir, is in the 10 years since you first heard this album, which is about right, do you think it has aged well?
Callum.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It probably isn't if you go deep enough, but definitely in the mainstream, I think this was pretty much, I don't want to say revolutionary, but it probably was in terms of the mainstream at that time. And they're all still bangers. They've been mixed extremely well. And I still think a lot of artists use techniques and sounds that you find in this now. So it doesn't really feel, it feels a bit timeless to me.
Yeah. There are, I'm going to just jump in.
Go on.
There are times where I have been mistaken. No. Liam will get that reference.
Oh, yeah.
Where
I didn't like that.
where I think that maybe it doesn't sound that good anymore just because of the newer Tame Impala is so produced like to an absolute T and mixed like to as much perfection as it can be, whereas this still has the rawness, but I feel like a lot of that is missing from today's music. Everything is too polished. It needs to have a bit of rawness about it. So I feel like for that reason, it has aged well because it's probably aged better than the things that were too polished at the time. And if people are still trying to get sounds like you say, then he's on something, isn't he? Kev.
I'd say you're spot on. Just a quick warning, 7 minutes left. So let's just keep that in mind.
Crack on then.
For me, yeah, I think this has aged well, and for all the other reasons you've mentioned, and it definitely feels timeless to me. I think just talking there through, I'm thinking about what our next classic is, which don't want to spoil it, but it's Mac DeMarco. Placing this between that and Come of Age doesn't. It just none of that sits right in my head. So
No.
it's timeless. It still sounds fantastic. It still sounds great live and all the rest of it. So I think it's aged very well. Next one. The most important one, I'd say, is what is your favourite track on Lonerism? Yanni.
Oh, okay.
Oh, me?
Yes, I'm mixing it up.
Okay. Well, I think you already know. It's Apocalypse Dreams. Like I defined it earlier, it is perfection for me. It's my favourite Tame Impala track, and it's one of my favourite songs of all time. So there you go.
That answers it pretty well, to be fair. Con?
It's a toss-up between Mind Mischief and Why Won't They Talk to Me. I'd probably be more inclined to put on Why Won't They Talk to Me. So I'll say that one. Right.
Well,
now.
I'll say Mind Mischief then, and I'll pick up the other side of that. For all the reasons stated above, Mind Mischief is a rip snorter. I think somebody likes to say quite often. And the final question here, boys, is, how does this for you compare to Kev's other works?
Who's that to?
I'll
It's
take
an
the floor.
open floor. Go on.
I think other albums have better songs. I think other albums are executed better. However, this is my favourite album of Tame Impala's by a country mile. I think nostalgia plays a heavy part. I like the rawness. I like the energy. I like that it's not as polished. And I just think it's just a good old time of happiness.
Beautiful. I'm conscious of the time, so I'm going to interrupt
Mhm.
you. Yeah, I would say this is the best. Although there are songs that I think are better, like Cal said. This is a package. I put this on every so often, just in full, just to listen to it and enjoy it, as opposed to other albums that he's done since. And we've all said it on multiple occasions. I know we have, that this is the best one. So I think that answers it very well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, I've never really paid any attention to any of the other albums. Just none of them have ever done as much for me. Apart from maybe In a Speaker, I've spent a bit of time with. But as a full body of work, Lonerism is the only one that really kind of holds its own. And it's probably one of my favourite albums ever. It's in that list. However, whatever number that list is, I'm not sure if it's top 10, 100, whatever, but it's up there.
It's there.
It's there. It would be considered always. So that's what it is. So
Beautiful.
that's the end of the questions. That's the end of the recording. Thank you all for listening. This has been Lonerism by Tame Impala. We've been Fools in Hell. And Yanni, you're about, you're going to do the socials or something. Go on.
Yeah, very quickly. If you're watching us on YouTube, then, like the video, ding the bell and subscribe. If you're not on YouTube and you're just listening, well, go to it. Type Fools in the Hill podcast. You'll find us there. Again, if you're watching the video on YouTube, you just go to the description. Everything's there. It's beautiful. It's right below our faces. And if you're not, Instagram and Facebook, just type in @Fools in the Hill podcast. You'll find us. Twitter, @Fools in the Hill pod. That is how you do it in a neat little package and in record time. Goodbye, everyone, before Liam cuts to black.
And on that note,
We love you.
Actually,
much.
Hang on. On that note,
Oh my God.
I've got the time here. I've got just a few minutes. I want to tell you a quick story.
Minutes?
Lydia came in. We've got 3 minutes, so we smashed through that really. I didn't want to interrupt the girl and go, slow down. Lydia came in to me before and told me that she today got the ick. And she explained to me that she was scrolling through TikTok. And whose face appeared? This guy. This guy right here. Which is me telling you guys to check out TikTok. Because, content's happening daily.
It do be
From
happening.
someone. It do be ticking. And on that note, ding dong. See you later.
Merrily on high.